Alright guys, welcome back to another video. I'm going to try to keep this as quick as possible, even though there is a handful of steps that go into installing one of these. First thing I'm doing here is I'm just getting a plumb line in the center of the back wall, which it actually worked out perfect for the material. It was 4 pieces all the way across, which you'll see here in a little bit. Then I measured from the wall over to the door casing, and I'm just going to match this measurement to the other side. And then of course get another plumb line. This area that I'm laying worked out perfect. I was able to split the tile in half and use 1/2 for the bottom and 1/2 for the top of the design. Of course, your area may vary in size. Then if you also notice, I drew lines on my break, that way I didn't have to mark each individual tile. Once you get all your breaks made, go ahead and stack them up. I like to try to get them as flush to the top as possible because it makes it way easier whenever it comes to leveling it out after you stick it to the walls. So let's go ahead and start our first course. I'm going to slap some thin set on the back of these tiles, get it centered up to our center line with the joint, like I said earlier, 4 tile worked out across the back of this. So the main key to this is trying to keep everything flush and level. Sometimes you might have to pull them off and add a little more mud to get the ends of them flushed up to one another. I usually level 1 course at a time. It makes it a little easier, that way the mud doesn't set up on you. All you pretty much want to do when leveling something like this is, of course, make sure your bubble's in the middle of the level, but then take your wedges, put them underneath your tile, and just push them up until they're completely flush with the level. If you can run your level all the way across the top of it and there's no gaps, then you know you got a good flat surface to work to. I'm going to be wrapping a 4x4 marble all the way around the sides and the top to cap this thing off with. So I set it down there to use it as a guide for my starter, and then you just repeat the process of sticking and leveling the sides. Alright, now that we got our first course done, let's go ahead and get all of our marble cut so we can start the diamond. It takes 2 whole 4x4 marbles cut in half on a 45 to make up a foot. So for every foot that you have to cover, you have to cut 2 marbles in half. Cutting the marble is pretty straightforward. You just line the blade up with the corner of the marble, and since the blade runs straight down the center of the tray, you can just butt the other corner right up to it, and as long as you hit it right on the start of the cut, everything should work out just fine. So let's go ahead and just get these things knocked out real quick. Now that we've got that step done, let's go ahead and apply some thin set to the back of our marble. I'm going to be applying a spacer to the top and bottom of the design. I'm going to be using an 1/8 inch. When starting the design, I'm going to start with the whole tile right in the center. So I put 2 on each side, insert the spacers, then stick the whole marble right in the middle. Make sure the ends are flush to one another, that way everything stays straight and smooth. Then you'll just continue this process all the way across while checking it with your speed square. When marking your cuts, you don't want to make the mark dead center of your bottom course because it won't line up right once you put it on there. You want to offset it a little bit just like I did here. You want to make sure your corner's touching the wall when you make the mark also. I messed up a little bit here and didn't notice it until I watched it back, but the piece that goes on the side covered the gap, so I wasn't too concerned with it. Also, I like to put a piece of cardboard behind the first piece just to ensure that it doesn't fall until the thin set dries. Then once you wrap your cuts around the corner and get them all straightened up, you just continue the same process that we've been doing down each side. Once I get to the end, I'll go ahead and stick a whole piece so I'll have something to gauge to. Then I'll take my 45, set it up there dry, then mark it flush to the tile. Then you can take another piece and put back to back, not front to back, but back to back. That way they're mirrored. Each cut will work for top and bottom. That way you don't have to do it more than the one time. Once you get this set, I'll go over to the other side and repeat this whole process. Now it's time for the top piece. When leveling the top of the design, I like to do one wall at a time, just like the first course. That way the thin set doesn't set up on me too quick. Once you get it leveled, you want to see no gaps in between the top of the design and the bottom of the level. Now all we got to do is the same thing going down the sides. Alright, since I've already got my cut made, let's go ahead and get it stuck up here and leveled up. I'm going to go ahead and throw a nail in it also, that way it doesn't fall on me. I'm not going to show the other side being laid, because it's all the same process and it'll make this video way longer than it already is. Can't forget about this one. Now that we've got the design finished up, let's go ahead and run our top course. Be careful when applying these to not mess up the top of your design where you've already got it all nice and level. Alright, time for the last step, putting on our cap piece. We're going to be using 4x4 tumbled marble and the walnut. This step is pretty simple as long as your top course is good and level.